These side pieces should just come undone, Sam. Got it. Finally, guys, part 8 of our Project Sally Revive and Drive series. This is one we've been waiting for. This is where we actually start our body work and our paint work. As you just saw, we've got our front bumper removed. We're going to be getting it ready for paint. Also, we're going to be tackling that previous accident damage on the driver's side fender, getting it ready for paint, getting it painted, and our impact bar as well. Looks like we're going to have about 10 videos in this series. We're getting close to getting this thing on the road. Should be a fun one. Stick around. Okay guys, so we got the impact bar on the Mustang all-in epoxy primer. Everything turned out really good with it. It's been sitting for probably a month or so. We've been working on some house projects, but we've got it all sanded with the maroon Scotch-Brite pad. As you can see, we've got a really good scratch in the panel. Basically just removed the sheen, and we're ready to spray some sealer, some base, and some clear. So I'm gonna bring you guys along, and we'll see how this turns out. All right guys, time for some base coat on our impact bar. I got some spots that are really light. I'm gonna let that flash off as a first coat, and then I'm gonna dial the fan in. I'm gonna try to get into some of those hard to reach areas, and let that flash. Then we'll put another full coat on. Don't have to be in a hurry at this stage, just trying to get coverage. Okay guys, so we got done spraying the clear on the impact bar. Overall it came out pretty decent. There is a place on the very top corner that I actually missed a little base coat. It's not bad, you can just see a little bit of gray through the red, and that's a pretty difficult piece to paint with it, all the different areas and everything, but you know, it's probably way more than most would have done for an impact bar, but I mainly did it just really get my feet wet with the products that we're using. We're actually spraying the Omni base coat. It's the Omni Plus, and we actually took part of the old bumper and took it in, and they put it under their camera and come up with their own coat, because this car had been repainted before. As far as the clear goes, it was the Finish One FC 720. And first time spraying this clear, we used the FH612 medium hardener, and it really did pretty good. I have struggled with clear coat in the past, and this actually laid down really nice. The only problem I had was just all those different angles and everything, trying to get the clear on, trying to keep it wet without running it. Not really gonna see this part, but like I said, it turned out pretty good. It's got a little bit of peel in it, not much. It probably would have done a little bit better with the slow on it, because it probably would have flowed a little bit more. But overall, I mean, it's pretty good. It's probably got the same amount of peel that the car's got on it, to be honest with you. These lights kind of amplify it, but we'll see what it looks like in the sun once it dries. And overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see if you can see that little spot that I missed. It's right in there. So we're trying to finish this Mustang up. We got the front bumper and the fender to go. And be glad when it's done. We're almost done. So this here is the bumper for Project Sally. And Miss Sammy has worked really hard to get this thing prepped for paint. We used some Kovacs sponges that were 800 grit that I saw on the Velvet Hammer channel. I saw him use that some time ago, and I just had it saved. And we actually got a chance to try it. And they work really well. Real happy with it. This is our first bumper cover that we're going to be painting. So we'll see how it goes. So there's a couple spots on this cover that looks like it may be a little thin, maybe a little burn through of the original factory primer that was on it. So in those spots, I'm gonna put some of this Bulldog adhesion promoter. And I'm gonna let that sit for about 10 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and apply our sealer. Put it in the recessed areas too, just so paint will stick. We got that area the best we could, but you know, there's a lot of stuff's going to go on this and hide a lot of it, but still want paint to roll over the edges and stick in those edges. Use the Technopro light with a 1.2, and it's about 25 psi. I think it was about 2.5 turns out, and the fan just turned in just a touch, and it really laid down nice. We're getting ready to shoot the base. I've got right at a quart mixed up. Not sure if it'll take that much, but we've got it mixed up nonetheless, and we'll see how this goes. Okay guys, having a few issues with the camera. The old camera recorded for so long and then it said memory card full. I'll just have to see how much we got. But we did get the base down and it turned out pretty decent. It's been down now for a couple hours. We're getting ready to shoot the clear. Going to try the DV1 clear gun on it. Hopefully it does okay. There's a few imperfections in it. It's not perfect, but the car's not perfect neither, so I think it'll be okay. I hope so. Still ain't so sure on that DV1 base coat gun. I didn't get much overspray, so I like that. I was only shooting at like 13 to 14 PSI, so that's really good. Just don't have enough experience with it to say whether I like it or not. The TechnoPro Light on my sealer, which is the epoxy, I'm running a 1.2 tip and about 25, 26 PSI, and it's money. I love the way it lays down. But now, like I said, this don't look bad. I can see a few imperfections in it and a few pieces of dirt, not bad. There's a little bit more grainy up there in that area than I would have liked. Hard area to reach, especially up in here. Very difficult to reach. These recessed areas and everything is hard to reach as well. I do like the stand, it helps. Just have to move it around a little bit, and seems like it's working pretty good. So I'm not going to video the clear. I'll just bring you back. Hopefully it goes well, and we'll see you in a little bit. Guys, we had all kinds of technical difficulties today with our camera gear, but I'm a little rusty with this filming and making sure my batteries are charged and everything. The bumper turned out really amazing. It does have a little bit of trash in the very top of it there. I think a lot of that will be covered by the grill, so I don't think we're going to worry with it too much. So here's a closer look at our fender dent. You can see here it is right on our body line, and it looks like it starts about right here and travels all the way to about right in this area. Now the body line seems to be intact right in here, but as we come over to this part it does raise up, and it's got some of this. You can feel just a little imperfection here when you run your hand over it, so that'll have to be addressed as well. Also, they tried to fix it when this happened. This Griff and his friend, they tried to fix it with a claw hammer, and you can see the 2 points here sticking out, and that's actually how that happened. Griff said that this accident happened in the parking lot. Maybe a shopping cart or something ran into it. It's a pretty good little crease. I'll show you once I get the tire off of it. I've got the inner fender out, and this part of the metal is basically really flat, but then when you come over to this part, it's actually got it locked. It's something that it is so stout that I can't move it with my hand. We'll go ahead and get the car up in the air, get it supported, get this wheel off, so we've got room to work in here. Do plan to leave the fender on the car just so that it's more stable, and we've got something to pull against. Alright, the basic shape is back, but it's getting to where I can't hardly tell my highs and lows at this point because of this shiny paint. So you can see the basic shapes coming back in. I've still got some lows in between here, and I've got one bad low right here on this fender line. There's probably only so much you can really do with this, but I'm gonna go a little bit further with it and just see how close we can get it. Alright guys, so the basic shape is back into the fender, the best that I can tell comparing it to the other side. There was a little bit of rippling going on right in here, and it feels a lot better now. I've done a little bit of hammering work up in here, and it doesn't feel too bad. This here actually feels really good. It's kind of hard to feel it now where the paint has cracked and chipped, and where I've had these highs and lows, it actually feels like a speed bump. But when I look at it with my ruler, it looks really good when I compare it to the other side. This fender's not entirely flat. There is a crown in it. Like I said, I have it roughed in the best I think I'm going to get it. And now it's time to take a DA and take the rest of this paint off and maybe fine tune it a little bit better. And actually, as rough as that looks, I'm actually pretty happy with the way it came out, because that was a really deep dent, and that dent was actually really locked in. I had to hammer on it with some pretty good force just to get it right. And I wish I could be a little bit better explaining some of this, but when it comes to hammer dolly work, when you're doing hammer on dolly and hammer off dolly, It's just something you have to practice, and sometimes I actually go the wrong way with it, and I'll actually make it a little bit worse. The trick is when you start, like you saw me using some pretty good force to beat this dent out, but then as I get it close, then the force kind of goes away, and then it's just small taps just to kind of move the metal exactly where you want it to go. A couple wipes of filler and we'd be fine for what we're working on here. And you know, this is just going to be a driver car. It's not like we're doing a 100-point restoration on this car. So this is just basically get it back on the road for Miss Sammy, the best job we can in the time that we've got, because we do got to get back to the Camaro. Alright, here is Project Sally all ready for some epoxy primer. We'll spray this epoxy primer on here. We'll probably do a couple coats and then we'll let it set overnight, and then tomorrow evening after work we'll put our filler on top of it. And we'll probably just put our filler up to about right in here and down. This is kind of where it needs it, but we'll feather it into what we've got right there. I had to go up a little bit higher because I've got a few ripples in the metal right here that I just couldn't get out. A couple low spots, not bad, but it will take a swipe of filler up in there. So we'll probably just coat this whole thing here and block it out. But anyway, we got our SPI epoxy mixed up. We've got the red, and we're just about ready to spray. So at first glance, it don't look too bad at all. There is some highs and lows right in here, but it is very little. And I'm pretty happy with the way it came out just with the hammer and dolly. For some reason, I love the smell of body filler, but it does give me a headache if I'm exposed in it for a long period of time without ventilation. It's cold out there tonight. I'm gonna wear a mask. I don't smell it at all when I mix it when I'm wearing this mask. So I'm just gonna, this is actually an older mask that I use for spraying, but I wouldn't, it's older now and I wouldn't use it for spraying now because it's past the limit. But it is good to keep for mixing up body filler because I can't smell it at all when I wear it. might tap it down a little bit, but it feels high.
I mean, we're putting more filler on it anyway, so.
I know, but we want it, if that's high, it will continue to be high.
Unless you put filler on the other spots and not that one.
Well, you'd have to raise this whole plane up to equal that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you want minimum.
I think it's okay if there's a high spot.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, nobody is going to be sitting here feeling her fender.
You'll see it
that's a little weird.
You'll see it in the reflection of the paint.
How bad?
You don't know how it's done, but you'll see it.
So what's the black? What is the black?
Guide coat.
A what?
It's guide coat.
What does that do?
It's basically a visual. Shows you.
Where you're sanding?
Yeah, where highs and lows are and everything.
You hit metal a lot, is that bad?
No, I mean, not really. Be expected.
It happens.
Let me try to lower this in just a little.
I didn't know you had TikTok. You never told me that. I follow you now.
I don't post nothing to it.
I'm about to send you all the funny TikToks I find.
Alright, I think it did it.
Really?
Yeah, it don't take much to move metal. It's low now. Feel it dip in just a touch. Alright guys, so we got this roughed in and I went ahead and pretty much it's in 80 grit, and I went ahead and put a couple more coats of epoxy over the whole thing. We had some sand throughs, but you can also see right here where I tapped it down. It's a little bit low right in this area. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up. And then we also got a few pinholes right in that area as well. So I'm going to block this out with just 180 at first. Expose the lows. At the most, I think we're just going to need some glaze. But we'll see how it turns out. Alright guys, so it almost blocked out. So as you can see here, this is our low spot, and we've got bare metal here, and here. We still got our pinholes right in this area, and this low here is where I kind of freaked Sammy out and took the spoon and I actually hit it with a hammer and tapped it in just a little bit. So being that I'm hitting metal here, I'm going to go ahead and use some glazing putty, and I'm going to glaze this area right here as well. So this is a tool that Roger, Mr. Fireman 164, showed me a couple years back, and it's pretty cool. Basically, you calibrate it with this small piece of metal here, and it shows you 0 filler. Now, we know exactly what we put on this, and basically you just come in, you got to make sure that it's laying flat, because if you don't, it won't work right. But if it's flat, you can see right here, it's got got a green check mark for 0 filler. 0, 0, 0. Now right there, it starts to beat and it moved up to the blue and it says the blue is 1/16. You can see that says 1/16 inch of filler. And that's right, because I did it. But then as I start to come away from it, it goes back to 0. And if you remember, this was the area that was the most damaged. It's also the same area that they tried to fix it with the claw hammer. So 1/16 of filler, I'll take it. If you go up into here, it's still measuring 0. There is a touch of filler, but it ain't much. Still 0 up in here. But like I said, if I just barely raise it up, you can tell how it does. It's a pretty neat tool. It's called the Filler Detective, and it's got the Hot Rod name on it. How cool is that? All right, guys, right here's where we're at on the fender repair, and I went ahead and put a couple more coats of epoxy down, let it sit over a week, and I blocked it out. And as you can see, the dent is definitely gone, and it's actually blocked out really nice. This is all in 320, and this probably would be ready for paint, with the exception of this mess. This was a dent that was already there. Was going to leave it, and once I started fixing everything else and wetting it down with wax and grease remover, well, you know how it goes. Once you fix one thing, it looked even worse once the fender started getting straight. The plan was to leave it, but I just couldn't leave it alone. And I've kind of worked myself into a corner because I do not want to go over this edge with color, because I don't want to get into the hood. And the reason being, this car's had a pretty rough life. It's been painted once before, and it's got all kinds of chips just all over it where they've fixed it, and probably dirt where it was repainted. Right in this area here, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's got some dry spray. And again, some of that's just dirt on the car, but some of it is actually chips. And I don't want to get into blending this hood and nothing like that. I mean, the car actually needs to be repainted. So this as far as we're going, so hopefully it works. And we may try to fix this spot with just a dab of base. We may sand it with, we got to sand it anyway, but we'll sand it with either 400 or 600. And we may try to do a little something. Whatever we do, we'll show through the clear, but it'll be better than the way it looks now. Give you a close up. I've got 2 ounces sitting here inducing. That's all it's going to take. We'll get it sprayed and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, here's the fender with the primer on it. This is about 3 coats of epoxy. Actually applied pretty heavy. You can see how it's got some texture to it, if the camera will pick that up. This was my trouble area right in here. It's getting pretty close, I hope. Alright, so it looks like this area here, our troublesome area, did block out. I put this blue tape up here to keep me from going over this edge with this 320. And, you know, I've kind of backed myself into a corner here where I had to go up so high. I didn't want to get base on this part of the fender, so it's going to be tricky to do this. and I'm not real sure how it'll turn out, but like I said, still got to block all this out. I'm gonna do the initial cut with 320, and then I'll come back and guide coat everything, cut it with 400, and if it looks good, we'll be ready to knock this clear down with 600, prep the fender for paint. We're getting there. Okay guys, getting ready to start paint work on the fender. And there just went my test spray panel. Anyway, gonna start off with sealer, and then we'll blend this base into this clear here, and then we'll clear over it. We're gonna try to save the stripe. I don't know how this is gonna go down. It's gonna be a real tricky area, and I've never done it before, but I'll bring you guys along. Okay guys, we got the fender in paint, and let me tell you, it's been a day and I am beat. So we started off with sealer, and right from the get-go I had trouble with the sealer. The sealer went down perfect, but I did get some overspray over on my sanded base coat areas, and I had to wait till I could sand it, and luckily I was still within my recoat window, and I was very low on 600 grit sandpaper. That right there is the only 600 grit sandpaper that I have left in the garage. So that's definitely on the list to buy. So overall it turned out really good. Down there at the stripe, I had two pieces of tape, one with the soft edge, and then one where I taped the line. And basically I blew some clear down in that area. Right above that stripe I had sanded with, it was right at 2000 grit, and I hit it with some U-pole number 9, and you know, it looks pretty good on camera. There is one sag. Let me see if, when you look upwards at that body line, you could see a little bit of a sag there, but when you look downward, you can't even see it. So being that it's that low and the spot where it's in, we're gonna leave it for now. Like I said, there was a lot of nicks in this area. Now in here where our repair was, that's some dirt there. A little bit of dirt right in there. Like I said, this could be wet sanded and buff, but with the rest of the car, I don't think it's worth putting the time into it. We just want to get it on the road and let her enjoy it. Alright guys, so pretty happy with the way it turned out. Want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Be sure to come back for part 9 where we'll be putting this car together and wrapping up this project. Thank you guys.